Hi, everyone. I have an incredible guest, Rob Hersov, a renowned entrepreneur, investor, and outspoken advocate for change in South Africa. Rob has a wealth of knowledge on business, politics, and the future of our country, and I'm excited to dive into some pressing topics with him. So, how are you, Rob?
Siddharth, very well. I'm in Hermanus at the moment, and it's a bit overcast. I took a early morning 5 a.m. walk on the cliff path. Beautiful. Nice, lovely part of the world.
Great. I'll dive into the business and entrepreneurship with you. My first question is, you've successfully built and invested in multiple businesses. What key principles guide your investment decisions?
Well, I've lost money on companies too and written off
Oh,
quite a few
oh,
investments. But the guiding principle, and it's something you really only learn over time, is it's really about the people. I'd much rather invest in a bad concept with an incredible management team and founder than a great concept and a terrible founder and management team or a flawed founder and management team, because they will go wrong. But an incredible team will pivot the business and make it a success. So it's down to that, down to people. And the other thing, I always hire people better than myself. If
oh,
there's the smartest person in the room, I will try and get them on board. Um, they change your life. They lift, the smartest people lift all boats.
hmm. Okay. What advice do you have for young entrepreneurs looking to build businesses in South Africa?
Leave the country. No. Um, Building a business in South Africa is 10 times harder than building a business in
Mm,
America, being blunt.
mm,
You've got all these racist and socialist laws the ANC is implementing, and they're making things worse for you. It's harder and harder and harder. It's overregulated. You're told who you have to hire. You're told who you can't fire. It is very, very, very hard. And if you have any business that involves any permission from the government or any help from the government, you've got a real headache on your hands. So I hate to sound negative. So let's get to the positives. The
yes.
positives are this country needs entrepreneurs. This country needs wealth creators. This country needs creative, dynamic people like you, the people listening. And as a
Thank you.
result of the difficulties, there's huge opportunity. There really is. But be careful about what industry, service, product you get involved in, because make sure the market is big enough. I've often heard incredible pitches from incredible entrepreneurs, and I go, well, South Africa is such a tiny market. Use South
Mm.
Africa as a test market. If you can prove it here, externalize your expertise and set the same business up somewhere overseas because you'll make a fortune.
Okay, with your global business experience, what do you think South Africa needs to do to attract more foreign investment?
Change government. And I'm not saying that jokingly or lightly.
Yeah, yeah.
The ANC government are destroying this economy. And in fact, we had a budget speech withdrawn a week
Mm,
ago and going to be reintroduced on March the 12th. And unless, as part of that new budget, it is massive cost cutting at the government level, massive waste reduction, and massive corruption removal, our economy is uninvestable for foreign direct investors. Why would a foreigner
mm.
invest in a country that has racist laws, socialist laws, overregulated, BEE, EWC? They're not going to do it. Foreign investors are pulling out of South Africa, not investing. And sorry to
It's
tell you the
sad.
truth, it's
Yeah,
the
sad.
unvarnished truth.
Yes.
The ANC is
Okay.
destroying this country. End of story. If any of you guys are still voting ANC, EFF, or MK, you don't deserve to be on this show. This is a show for dynamic, incredible people. And Siddharth's put an amazing podcast together.
Thank you. Okay, we'll get to the politics and economy. You've been critical of the South African government. What immediate changes would you implement if you were in charge?
Well, other than removing the ANC from cabinet, I would privatize state owned enterprises. State owned enterprises are actually state owned ANC disasters. They've become
Mm,
employment agencies and not delivering any of the services. And look at what happened in aviation. South African Airways was one of the best airlines in Africa and the world. The ANC took it on, turned it into an employment agency, and bankrupted it. And so SAA is as good as gone now.
mm,
But what happened was Airlink, FlySafair, Samair all stepped into the breach, and anyone who's flying is still flying happily. You can still fly at a reasonable price. We don't need South African Airways as a state-owned enterprise. And in fact, we don't need Transnet, Prasa, Eskom, Denel as state-owned enterprises. They should be privately owned businesses that compete in the private sector. And there'll be less waste and better service delivery. That's the first thing I do. The second thing I do is set up a DOGE, a Department of Government Efficiency, to cut waste, cut cost, cut bureaucracy, and cut over-regulation. If you want to add one regulation, you've got to get rid of 5 and deregulate this over-regulated market. It's too hard to do business here. So those are the first 2 things I do, other than firing the ANC. But there are a lot of other things we can do. Those would be my first most important things.
Okay. Do you think South Africa can realistically become a business-friendly country again, and what would it take?
Very easily. South Africa, there's a huge wall of capital wanting to come into South Africa, but not coming in because of all these issues that I've mentioned, all ANC issues. But it's very easy to turn around. I mean, if you made me a benevolent dictator for 100 days, and then you can retire me, okay, I'll give you a contract to do that. You can march me out of the office of presidency and put me on an island, not Robben Island, a nice warm island somewhere. I would be able to turn this country around very, very, very quickly. But the ANC don't want to. They break so they can steal. That's what the ANC does. If you think they are stupid, they really are, but they're malevolent too. If they keep people poor, keep people undereducated, keep people out of the formal economy, they can bribe them with a T-shirt, KFC on the day, and they'll vote ANC. And that's how they've kept this economy broken and people homeless and hopeless. So they'll vote for the ANC because the ANC bribes them with a grant. It's that evil. So the country's fixable, but not under the ANC.
Okay. Would you ever consider running for political office to bring about the changes you advocate for?
No. And I'll tell you why. There are too many good people in this country, not just politicians, that would do a much better job than me. Firstly, I'm 65 this year, and we need younger people. But secondly, there are excellent people in the DA. I mean, I could name Leon Schreiber. I can name young people like Nicholas Niati, Mlondi Mduli. I could name tons of people in the DA that could do a better job than me. Jordan Hill-Lewis, Chris Pappas, Celia's Brink. But there's Gayton McKenzie would do an amazing job. Corne Mulder would do an amazing job. Velocini Hlabisa would do an amazing job. And then all the non-political people, I mean, you could hire any chief executive of any South African company, would do a better job than me. So I'm happy doing what I'm doing. Thank you, though.
Sure. All right. We'll get to the wealth and influence side of things. As someone with both wealth and influence, what role do you believe business leaders should play in shaping South Africa's future?
Good question. Most corporate South Africans do the bare minimum that makes an impact on saving South Africa. Now, they think they're doing a lot. They provide a lot of money to corporate social responsibility, CSR, and a lot of money to charity. But both of those are fixing problems created by the ANC. So they're actually not fixing the root cause of the problem because they're not standing up and calling out the ANC. Some people, very, very few. Alan Pullinger retired. He did it. Michelle Leroux, he does it. Gareth Ackerman, he does it. Neil Froneman, who's retiring, was amazing. But who else? I mean, Silence of the Lambs at the corporate sector. But they've been captured. You know, they've got the PIC invested in their businesses. They've got BEE in their company that say, don't speak out against the ANC because we're feeding at the trough. They've got independent directors who, you know, tend to be arse-kissy to the ANC in most cases, and that's why they're put in as independent directors. And most of the chief executives have a job. They're getting paid a salary. So they're surrounded by these people that don't want them to call out the ANC because they're benefiting. And the poor CEO is, says, okay, I'll join the wanky Martin Kingston's initiative, and that's enough. We'll hide behind Martin, who's frankly a stooge for the ANC anyway. So I've given up on corporate South Africa ever doing anything realistic. Sorry about that. Corporate South Africa should be saying no to more BEE and yes to rolling back BEE, because we know it doesn't work. Ask Maletti and Becky, ask Musi Maimani, ask Gayton McKenzie, ask anyone. BEE fails and adds massive cost to doing business in South Africa. So why doesn't business stand up and say we're not doing BEE anymore? Because they're scared, or because they're captured, or because they've got a gun to the head and can't do anything. So I've given up on them.
Okay. What are the biggest risks that South African businesses will face in the next 5 years?
The collapse of the economy, without a doubt. We're frogs being boiled in a pot, and it's now at boiling point. The budget comes out on March the 12th, okay? March the 12th in the evening. It's a Wednesday evening. And if the ANC have not, for the first time in their lives, decided to actually cut cost, if they're still trying to sneak in a VAT increase, and I've heard a rumor of it going from 15 to 15.75, 15.75.
Oh.
Sorry.
Okay.
12
to 17. Oh, I thought
sorry,
17.
Sorry, it's going up 0.75% is what I've heard. Instead of 2%, 0.75. Okay. Apologies.
Okay.
If they're going to try and sneak that in without cutting costs, we're finished. I mean, the rand's going to go to 25 to the dollar on its way to 50, and this economy is going to collapse. We're done. So forget 5 years. The next 12 months, and then the external. People call it a threat. I call it an opportunity of Trump not just putting tariffs on us and cutting AGOA and PEPFAR, but putting sanctions on us. And then, which I think would be a good thing, putting all the leaders of MK and EFF on the terrorist list, on the travel ban list, freezing their bank accounts, which America should do, and maybe the ANC as well. Anyone who's taken money from Iran, Naledi Pandor, Cyril Ramaphosa, I'm sure that Pala money is from Iran. I'm pretty sure now. Somebody should look into that. And they're not releasing the Pala report. Because they'll find out where the money came from. Cyril, you can go down, buddy. So it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. The next 12 months is breakpoint. Forget 5 years.
Okay, we'll get to your vision now. What has been the biggest challenge in your career, and how do you overcome it?
It took me a really long time to become a good judge of character and investing in people. People have taken advantage of me. But I'm getting better at saying no. I'm much better at managing my time because I've been too accommodating to people to listen to their mad ideas and concepts. And I just now I've captured my time for my own. I very, very rarely do face-to-face meetings anymore. I prefer, and people think they can do business by WhatsApp. I like, put this in an email, and I hate voice notes. Do not send me voice notes. The voice notes are the laziest way. When I see a voice note and it's more than 30 seconds, I don't listen to it. I just say, make an effort and write the text. No, I mean, a voice note's rude. It's like, just talk, So do email, do business by email. It shows you've got a brain, you've got to write things down, and you've got to be concise. Lazy people use WhatsApp. Lazy people use voice notes. And what else have I learned? I've learned to back very good people, do fewer things, and say no more often, which has taken a long time to do, because you want to be kind, you want to be generous, you want to give people time, but they end up eating up your life. And standing up for what I believe in. I made that speech 3 years ago that went viral, threw me into this world of being attacked, deplatformed, being kicked out of businesses I founded. But I'm not going to give up. I will not back down anymore. I stand up for what I believe in, and I wish more people would.
Okay, my final question to you is, you often speak about South Africa's potential. What's your ultimate vision for the country, and do you think it can be achieved in our lifetime?
Yes, it can be achieved. I'm 65. Don't know how old you are, but yes,
Uh, yeah, I'm
you know,
38.
if we're prepared to wait
Uh-huh.
to 2044 for the DA to run the country, the economy won't survive. So we need to be a lot more aggressive, and we need the DA, PA, IFP, ACDP, FF Plus to come together in a confirmed, focused narrative, and then to form a centre-right party and change South Africa from being a socialist hellhole into a free market capitalist society that grows at 5% a year. And we have to achieve that as quickly as possible, because the economy is not going to last till 2029. So it's going to have to somehow happen between now and then. And that's my hope for South Africa, that we can have a proper, successful, high growth capitalist economy that foreign direct investment comes into, where unemployment's down to below 10% as quickly as possible. People have jobs, they have hope for the future, and they have a better life for their lives for their children. And that is not going to happen under the ANC, EFF, or MK ever.
All I got to say is thanks so much for your time, and hopefully I can catch up with you again in the future, sir.
Happy to do it, Siddharth. I love what you're doing, and you really are passionate, and your viewers are the people that South Africa needs. It's just going to be a rocky road ahead. So hang in there. Get up early.
Thanks so much.